Hey there, guys. So today I have actually an update for you. This weekend I recently went to a tasting, and it was a Bourbon County tasting. So went through every varietal of Bourbon County, including King Henry and the barley wine. So I thought I'd just run through my opinions. They won't be in any specific order, but I'll just try to run through every single one, and I guess you can fast forward based on what you think is interesting to you. So the first one I want to go through is Vanilla and Proprietors. The Proprietors, if you don't know, is the coconut version of Bourbon County. And for these, I linked them together because I think that they're very similar beers in the sense that they're of the vanilla and coconut don't really come out in the beer very obviously. I'm of the opinion if you gave me Bourbon County vanilla, regular Bourbon County, and Proprietors Bourbon County, I would not be able to maybe tell the difference and pick each out because I think what vanilla and coconut do, they sort of complement the beer, and so vanilla and coconut are already in the beer, and what you're gonna get is just a smoother kind of experience. You know, certain things could be emphasized. Maybe you'll pick out more vanilla, maybe you'll pick out more coconut, but I think it's just sort of that kind of complementary flavor, not something that you'll get all the way in the front. So don't be surprised if you have maybe another coconut beer, another vanilla beer, or maybe those beers and aren't able to exactly pick those flavors out immediately. I think they're just more complementary, sort of rounding flavors. Moving on, Bourbon County Rare. That was an absolutely super hard, crazy beer to try. Really happy that I did. I will say that I was not as impressed as maybe some others, but it really was incredible stuff. It has some slight issues with mouthfeel, but in general, it's a very smooth beer again, as I was describing with earlier beers. It actually tastes relatively different from regular Bourbon County. It has this sort of lacking of sweetness. It has a very smooth, almost like a nice kind of forward bourbon flavor, but without the sweetness of the bourbon as well. It's a really interesting beer. Very different from the other beers that I tried. So it's surprising that Bourbon County Rare was reasonably different. Moving on, onto the fruit varietals. What you have is Bramble Rye, Backyard Rye, and Cherry Rye, and that's pretty much the order that I prefer them in. I think the first two, the Bramble Rye, which is the older one, sort of has this wonderful combination of Bourbon County and the berry fruit. It's just an absolutely amazing and incredibly delicious combination of two. The newer one, the Backyard Rye, is actually more jammy. It's more fruit forward. So I assume with age, hopefully that'll subside down, but still very, very delicious stuff. And then moving on, the Cherry Rye is probably my least favorite of the entire night, but it still holds a good spot for me because I really do like that beer. It really has this sort of Ludens or cough syrup artificial kind of cherry flavor, but I personally think it's still kind of candy like and still delicious. It really works well with the Bourbon County. Moving on, there's also the King Henry and Bourbon County barley wine. If you don't know, Bourbon County barley wine is actually pretty much the same recipe as King Henry, except King Henry obviously sat in the rare barrels, the Pappy Van Winkle rare barrels that Bourbon County Rare was in. Then King Henry. It was actually surprising that King Henry had a decent amount, I'd say, of complexity compared to the Bourbon County barley wine. Both all absolutely fantastic beers. Hopefully, with some years, the Bourbon County barley wine will evolve into that, but we'll see how that goes. I'm really two of the best bourbon barrel aged barley wines I've had. So those two are incredible. Disappointment of the night was actually the Bourbon County coffee. For some reason, it's at this awkward stage, or maybe it's this year's batch. It just has this weird kind of roasted flavor that is not really quite there for me. It's sort of like a roasted peanut. It just didn't really taste good to me. I really love 2012. I had that like a handful of times and absolutely love that beer. And I'm not one to always go, this year's not as good as last. You hear that all the time. But maybe I just have to try the beer out more. Then again, that was towards the end of the night, so maybe our palates were all shot by then. So yeah, that was a slight disappointment. Moving on, there's some awesome beers. I was able to try Pseudo Sue by Toppling Goliath. More Toppling Goliath absolutely continues to dominate the beer scene. I mean, for me, it kills Zombie Dust, and that beer is absolutely killer. It's it's a pale ale by Toppling Goliath. Another one was Permanent Funeral by Three Floyds. I think that's actually their best hobby beer. A single citra hopped beer of huge 10.5% huge double imperial IPA, and you do not get any sense of the 10.5. Absolutely completely hidden, not like any other hoppy beer I've ever had. So that's a huge, fantastic one. Funky Buddha's Veruca Snozberry. I think I've actually mentioned that before in my EBF post, but that is just an absolute killer beer. It has this wonderful passion fruit guava kind of flavor. It's almost like a Berliner Weiss, but it's really just apparently a Goza, and it's an absolutely killer beer. Funky Buddha is absolutely killing it. And then we also had Lost Abbey's Red Poppy, which is their kind of cherry Flanders red ale. Really interesting stuff. It's like an Americanized kind of Flanders red. It's really tart, really fruitful, really delicious stuff. If you guys want to check out the rest and the pictures, you can check that out down on the link below. But that's sort of my quick kind of update, giving you an update on a crazy tasting I had of Bourbon County. So until next time, guys, cheers, later.